Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how does he know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. I'm your co-host, Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Captain Dan.
That's Danny. That's Mr. Guru.
Captain Danny Guru.
I'm doing good. How's you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm having a lot of fun with our new marketing and the spaceship and building out the USS Advantage. So
It looks fantastic, Jen. The whole thing is just, there's just this amazing glow over everything that you produce. It's like, holy cow, where'd you come from? Right?
I was 2-in-1 this morning. I sent it to Savannah. I posted it on our TikTok, but I was able to get the ship to fly by. It is slow. So yeah, I'm having too much fun. For those of you who have noticed, we are doing a little bit of rebranding behind the scenes. 111 over here. So synchronistic, that's a sign right there. But we are doing some rebranding. We're doing a little bit of reconstructing. I've been talking to Dan. I'm going to be moving some of my platform over to HDA. And with that, we're bringing a lot more courses for you guys. So I'll give a little bit of announcement and let you know what we have going on. But before we do get started, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. We keep getting all sorts of alerts all week long with the likes, the comments, the views. And I'm so grateful for it, guys. That's why we started this.
Yep. Don't forget to share it out too. Share it to everyone.
Even yes, absolutely.
Yep. Send
share.
It
and I've made some posts already in the comments about the announcements because I'm going to speed through it. But it is important that we do tell you this, guys, because some of you have asked and it helps us monetize and keep this ship going. And like we said, we're building out the USS Advantage, kind of taking a little space theme. Because you are not, space isn't the final destination. You are. So we are here to liberate the individual.
Indeed. It's so true.
Yes. And it's so important right now. Today's show, we are on episode number 22, and it's all about how the moon influences our design. And ways that we're going to teach you guys a way to how you can go track it for yourself. I'm in investigation mode right now about the moon. I have my own theories about it, but I am really intrigued in learning about it today so that, because it influences everything almost. I can't think of something that it doesn't.
And what's the date? Today is the 9th, October 9th.
Today is October 9th. So yep. Let me run through the announcements real quick and I will pass it over to Dan. So check the links down below, guys. Dan's got a new booking page. It walks you through everything. If you haven't already booked a session, please make sure you do, because it's so important that you learn what your human design is first. We have a couple of courses that skim the human design or things that are coming out, but it's recommended that you get your session done first so that we can better help you with everything else that we're bringing out and rolling out for you guys.
Call it in and get yourself awoke out of the matrix. Call it in. I will read for you for an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours. I don't stop until we're done. Usually I run longer than you're willing to stay on the phone, so we don't have to worry about that.
It is recorded. Dan does record, and you're excellent with follow-ups and questions. And I that's what I love about you, because and what we're doing here is that, you know, we're literally here to help the people. It's not profit or anything like that. You know, we want to make sure that you guys understand, because it is a lot of information, and I'm already over a year in, and I'm still learning. So I don't think that's going to end. Are you still learning things, Dan?
Totally, all the time.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
We want to teach you guys how to become your own teachers. So make sure you book a session with Dan if you haven't already. If you're not quite sure if you want to start, you can definitely book a clarity call with us. That's, you know, we'll break things down for you. We do have a New Earth retreat that is coming up. This is something that it's a class that I put on a long time ago that I'm definitely incorporating human design in. So make sure that you sign up. It is Create the New Earth by Balancing the Divine Within. That is going to be the end of this month, the 24th through the 28th. The link is in the comments to sign up for that if you want to look. We do have a monthly subscription program that we started. It's called the Vortex. It's all about maintenance. Whether you are on a spiritual journey or you're trying to build a business, it's going to be filled with a lot of different classes to help you: astrology, human design, mindful eating, all sorts of things. So definitely check that out. And me and Dan are having on November 5th, we are doing a how to mindfully eat according to your human design. We haven't really touched or talked about the eating habits when it comes to your design, but it's helpful because not everybody eats the same. And I'm pretty sure you've encountered that in your life. So we are definitely pairing a class together. I do a mindfulness coach, mindful eating with your human design, so that you can build a healthier relationship with your food. This is not a class about diet, counting your calories, fat, or any of that. It is really to help you learn how to build a relationship with your food and be mindful when you eat. It will I'm practicing this more and more, especially with the class that's coming up, and it absolutely does change. You'll start to catch yourself from the overeating, and you know, sometimes we eat when we're not really hungry. All of those things we're going to address in this master class.
It's very much about the conditions and the circumstances in which you eat. Really, that's what it is. It's not about what you eat. It's about when or how. Literally, it's the circumstances or the conditions under which you're physically taking in nutrition. It's really good. And it's absolutely per design. You're designed to do it a specific way, and you'll find that you've always been happiest when you've done that.
Yes, and I'm so glad you said that, because it is important, because people do, you know, eating, it does bring joy. It can bring a lot of emotions up to the surface. So the more that I look into like how I'm supposed to eat, and I do, like, I've been on a kick. What I can't remember what it's called, but I can eat the same things, like the nuts and berries, consistently. I've been on a Mexican kick lately. I can't get enough Mexican. I can eat it all the time. So I noticed that, but I'm building a better relationship. So we definitely have that, guys, coming up. It is donation based, between $33 to $55. Sign up. So we have limited spaces, and that's coming up on November 5th. And yeah, let us know if there's any other workshops that you would like to see, or what you need help with. Me and Dan and the crew behind the scenes can definitely get together and pull something up for you.
Absolutely. Tell us and we'll build it.
Yep, absolutely. Scotty is on hand.
You sure are.
Oh, Savannah just popped on. That's perfect timing, because I was just about to release the reins.
Cool.
Hello, Savannah.
Hey, Savannah.
How are you guys?
Good. Good. I painstakingly went through the whole month, and I missed a gate. But I went through the whole month and found out the minute of the starting of the moon at the end of each gate on today's just now chart.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
So which gate is it? What moon gate
It's
do we have?
handwritten. So, what's that, Savannah?
Oh, I'm just curious because doesn't it the moon gate shift? What is it like 2 times a day or 3 times a day?
Every somewhere between 9 hours and 40 minutes and 12 hours and 10 minutes. It's in that window. So every 10 to 12 hours.
But the moon is a big deal, right? Because the moon is like in our
We're
own
about to
personal
see.
part. Our moon is what drives us. It's our inner world. It's our
what moves
why
us.
what we do. So yeah, the
Yep.
moon's a big deal. Mm-hmm.
Yep. It moves us. It makes our focus drive us. It focuses a drive and it moves us. We can't help but to be driven by what's in the moon. In fact, when I open up someone's chart, sometimes I could just go to the moon and I was like, this is what drives you. And they're like, oh my God, how'd you know? I'm like, I didn't know.
Well, it does rule over the subconscious.
The moon?
Mm-hmm. In astrology, or even if you're reading tarot, when the moon is coming up, it's the shadow aspect of yourself. It is the subconscious and what it is. My question, though, that's coming up, because I'm investigating something, what if we didn't have the moon? How would that affect our human design?
We wouldn't be here. So it would affect our human design quite drastically.
And what I like about human design is you have a moon on the personality side. So that would be the moon that was the gate was in that moon at the time of your birth, right? And then on the design red side, that's the moon that was in the sky 3 months before your birth.
Right.
So we have 2 in human design. It gives us 2 moons, which is interesting as opposed to like astrology, you just have 1 moon.
Well, it was because when design came together and created the synthesis that we can now use to accurately pinpoint stuff. If you haven't noticed, you can never really geographically pinpoint something without 2 other points in time. You need A and B to solve for C. And that was the whole idea. Once we realized our juxtaposition, we have a personality, black set of information, a database that's on the right, and a red design side, the unconscious side that's on the left. And these 2 things are living together in one life. And it's about the watcher, the personalities, getting used to the fact and us waking up to the fact that there is a body loaded with its chemistry that knows and has consciousness to navigate this plane. The body rules, the form rules the life. And the watcher, which we call the mind or the personality, has got no authority to make decisions, yet it thinks it does, and it drives us crazy. And that's what robs our life and robs our spirit and removes us from the situations we're supposed to be in, is this unawareness, this lack of awareness that we have. We're a dual consciousness now. We have been for hundreds of years, and we just haven't quite caught up to that yet. There's 2, and there's no other way to basically have that be. It's not something you can sort of explain away or incorporate. There's two. There's a personality and there's a consciousness and a consciousness on the design side. They are
that internal conversation you have with yourself.
Very often, the important thing to keep recognizing is they are separate and they're drawn together once the life is born to live out a life as 2 separate things working in unison as one life. And we've got to hand over the reins to this chemistry in our body. That's the deal. Our body says, we don't do it. We start to get angry at it. Hey, that might not be right for me. These are all chemistries. You recognize something as good, run with it, because you recognized it. These are things that are chemistry. It's not our mind doing that work. Ever is the thing. Ever. And it's hard to get used to because we think, and therefore that's what's true. Oh, I think I'm going to do this today, or I think that's important, until you realize how helpless you are to the program. As the moon rips around the earth, never mind the rest of the transits, all the planets transit us, but as the moon rips around the earth, it is dragging you in tow with it. And you think these decisions are yours. You are helpless to this program that we are in. And the quicker you got used to that, the better.
Yeah. I think what's interesting too is like on the personality side, right? You could know the gate that's in your moon, and that's what you think is what drives you. But then you have the moon on your design side, and you wouldn't really be consciously aware of like that's what's driving you too.
Two.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I love human design, is because it helps bring out those unconscious,
Well, right. And
things.
so that drive, that focus, that movement on the design side and the red set of information, you're right. We can't quite know it because it comes to us. The body gives it. Go ahead, Jen.
What I was thinking, the two aspects that's coming too is that the on the design side, that's probably where we're getting our feelings. Just like we are in a full moon right now. It's very fiery energy. And I even noticed it this morning and last night that I had that. So
we're drawn to this bad boy. But
on the personality side, it's the thoughts. It's where the
and we
two
see
are
that
pairing together.
And it does drive us, Jen. And we see it on the personality side, but flavored by the design side, the red, is you have to put them together to really know what's driving you. So it can be confusing. I'm driven for this, but for some reason I'm held back by this, or I'm also steered this way by this. And you get used to it a little bit as a sort of an aspect or a trait, but you don't quite have conscious access to it. You have to become aware and start seeing it to then finally have conscious awareness that it's going to keep delivering its information to you. So when I say helpless, I mean, we can help certain things. We on the mundane plane, we can, but we are truly as a cosmic being in a sense, and just our whole way through this life, we are helpless. If we think we're in charge of this thing, go prove it that you're in charge of this thing. Show me every day is happy and smiling and peaches and cream, because it's not. Because you're not.
That's what I'm investigating, because I did come across something, and it's a theory that I do somewhat believe, but I have, my profile, I have to investigate it. And mind-wise, mindfulness has helped me, because I am constantly, I'm constantly analyzing what's scrolling in my head. But body-wise, the energy, it still affects me. I have no control over that. I can feel it pass through me, but even in your mind, the only thing that you do have control over is if you're going to entertain that thought. That's why, you can't control what goes through your head. You can't control any of that.
But you've got a modicum of control, but you don't always have control.
Right.
Sometimes you see it and you're still out of control.
It takes a lot of self-mastery, and a lot of people, we're not there yet.
Right. So let's pull up today's chart. We can see what's going through. I ran this chart for just a minute after 2. So this is our just now chart. So any children born at this point in time, right about now, this is what they look like. We see a manifesting generator and a split definition. That is, this person explains lots of stuff, and there are 4. And so this is a little natural hermit who's super strategic and sees things other people don't always see. And he's always trying to network, he or she, and she's super busy. And she's got a voice that says, I have, and I, me, my, and they're shocking. And they're practically a vessel of love. They're so close, and or a sphinx. So they got a pretty strong identity and a lot of power, a lot of energy. And 3 open centers that put them under enormous pressure, and they have no idea why that is. And they avoid confrontation, and they avoid their own truth often enough in the avoidance of that emotional wave, and they always feel as if there's a crisis coming. So that's this kid or this adult when they're adult and they grow up conditioned, and they have a big fat head trip with all kinds of things. And once we get them to the moon gates, we can start to see what's on the other side of each of this stuff. So today, the moon is in 21/6 at this time, and it's about to transition. So how we go around this wheel is we find what is the next gate after 21 that they have a gate on the other side of. So when you look at your chart, and for reflectors, you have to do this for every gate. And for all the rest of us, we do it for the gates that aren't a channel. Okay. So
So let me just to clarify, and I did see someone post a question. We'll get to that in the midway point. I'll have Dan answer the question. So if you have some, make sure you post them in the comments. So you said we have to check any gate that's not a channel.
Right. All gates that aren't in a channel. And
So like
we have to use the wheel to do that because the moon is moving consistently counterclockwise around the human design, the Rave I Ching, the human design wheel. So gate 21 is, you can see it's in the quarter of initiation, the blue, and it's about 2/3 the way down. Right after 17, you see 21.
Sorry, I should have blew that up just a little bit more.
Yeah, you can use another wheel if you want.
I would have to take everything down and change it out.
All good. So I can see it enough. So there's 21. It's down near it's again off to the left on a clock. It's at about 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Yep. So there's 21. So what's the next gate that this person has in line? The very next gate they have in line is right after 21. It says 51. They had that in their design. 48. They had that in their design. And then gate number 3. Okay. So let's go back to their chart. We're going to have to toggle back and forth.
Yeah, I'm going to stay on this screen.
See, yeah, they had 51 is in their ego, 48 is off their spleen. And then they have gate 60 down in the root center. Gate 60. So gate 3 would connect it. When the moon.
So when the moon would transfer through gate 3, transit through gate 3, this would actually complete a channel.
It will complete a channel. Boom, this person has a life force for 10 to 12 hours. A reliable, steady life force that they can count on. Suddenly, their pressure to be stuck in the past with the feeling of limitation that they've had to work through their whole life, and they become good at dealing with limitation, suddenly has the sacral energy to put limitations into some kind of ordering and create an ordering. And or if this person is living out a not self life where they're just being taken away by their open centers, it can create a big fat problem for them. So not only did they feel stuck before, now they feel double stuck because there's a life force nagging at them that won't stop, and it's physically on for 10 hours. That nags and nags at them. Hey, you got the pressure to move forward. You in a pulse, this will come into order. You will order the stuff that was out of order before, and from confusion and chaos will come order. It's called ordering. Gate 3.
So Dan, because the moon, all 64 gates go through the moon. It's 28 days, right? So once a month, if you have a hanging gate and the moon fills in on the other side, you'll have that channel for. So like I kind of laughed when you pulled up the graphic because I have hanging gate 45 on the other side. And it's my moon. I have gate 45 in my moon.
Right. Yeah, so, 21's in your gate.
Yeah. So for 10 hours today, I will actually have like a manifester, right? Yep. I will have that channel of, what's it called? Channel of the money line?
That's the channel of materialism. It's the material voice for the tribe that supports and helps rule the tribe so that the tribe can be successful.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of laughed when you pulled this up, because it's like, oh, I'm kind of a manifester for 10 hours. I have that manifesting channel lit up by the transits of the moon. So it could help explain why I might, I don't know.
Be extra busy, have stuff to say, have a voice.
Be a little more controlling, right? Because that channel has kind of a controlling aspect to it. They want to control resources, control how things are done. So it could explain why I might act that way maybe for 10 hours.
Right.
And then,
or to have a voice that others don't challenge as easily. In that time, others won't challenge your voice quite as easily. They'll have to have a bona fide challenge rather than just a simple complaint, or they're not necessarily going to challenge because that channel of rulership is putting that energy out through your aura, your projector, so you're penetrating them with this in your aura. So today when you woke up, did Jake give you a hard time about anything, or was he yes ma'am, no ma'am a little bit?
Oh,
can you recall?
I don't know. I had to think. I'm trying to think, like with the editing with Jen, right? Like sending the text back and forth, like, oh, we should do this, right? Was I more like, no, like let's do this?
You were persistent this morning, and I did pick up on it.
Okay, yeah.
Now, were you thinking about that while you were doing it, Savannah, or were you?
No,
just
I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice that the gate 21 was 11.
Right.
She was
right.
more assertive than she was more assertive than Savannah usually is. You know.
I guess you could say normally I'm just like, yeah, whatever, okay. Like I'm more kind of just easygoing, but yeah, this morning I was kind of like, no, like we should do it like this. So funny, right? Like.
And so you weren't thinking about it, and that's the helplessness I keep referring to. It just drags us through its process, and don't forget, it's moving through the lines.
Yeah.
So it's 10 hours in a gate, but it's 2 hours per line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have to look up what line I have. Yeah.
Approximately. So,
but I also wanted to point out too, like, because I'm a projector, right, and I have a ton of hanging gates. So when the moon's transiting through each of the gates, it's almost like I get to be a manifester for a few hours. I get to feel what it's like to be a manifester, you know. And also I would say projectors and reflectors, like as the moon transits go through, it's like we get to feel what it's like to be that energy type, right?
That's absolutely true, because the generators and the manifestors are of a similar ilk. We're the energy types, because there's a manifesting channel that connects a motor directly to our throat, or there's a sacral, one or the other.
But you two would never really know what it's like through the transits to feel what it's like to be a projector or a reflector,
unless
right?
we're looking.
Yeah, because
you guys without the sacral and the projector and the reflector will more quickly notice it, just as a general rule, population speaking, you know, generally. You can't pinpoint any one person out of that. But then as individuals, if we start looking at it, then suddenly immediately we can send every human, once they look at it, will be like, oh my God, I feel that.
Yeah, there's been times where they're like, yeah, this is what it's like for a manifester. You know, they get annoyed when people are interrupting them when they're in their creative flow. And sometimes I'm like, I've kind of felt that. I've had times where I've snapped at somebody, like my husband or something, when I'm like in the middle of doing something. And so sometimes it's like, oh, like, is that maybe why I kind of have this, you know, projectors and reflectors can have this deep empathy and be more fluid kind of in their.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, you guys are more open. You guys will be reflector the most, projector the next, and then manifestors and generators compete for third place as to how aware we are or are not of the moon, because we're all busy. We're generating. We're manifesting. We're busy, and so we might get carried away by the moon and have just no idea that's what's happening. So let's move on to the next gate. The next gate in line. So we had 60. So what's next after 60? I see 27, and then looks like 24, and then 24. Go back to the chart.
Sorry. Okay.
That's all right. Yeah. Look up top. They have 61 at the top of their head center. So the next gate in line is going to be in 24, the moon. When the moon enters 24, suddenly this person is a knower. Their head is on all the mysteries they had. They start going back at it over and over. They start trying to rationalize. Their head gets noisy. They want other people to be quiet. Leave me alone. I'm busy. Eureka! I just discovered something. And these are moments that have great epiphanies and to sometimes, and then to get carried away with it because you don't know. Right. And then suddenly get carried away and then you suddenly start to realize, like we all do all the time, I don't really know a lot at all. I know I figured out one thing, but I guess I'm trying to figure out what do I know. And it's alluring. It's intoxicating. And it can also be darn odd and weird and make us feel, you know, out of sorts, because now there's a new life force, the channel of this one, which is the channel of awareness. It's about bringing the possible knowing now, which is the pressure of 61, into some kind of rationale that actually is something you can now explain. It's a sudden knowing in the now. Now that can be off-putting. That can take someone totally off their stride. It's like, I thought I knew this, now I know it differently. And then they fall in love with their new knowing. And let's say it's right at the productive point of a day, and they have that for the next 10, 12 hours. And then they wake up the next morning and it's not there.
Yes. Oh my God, I hate that.
So,
Yeah.
this helps explain why, like, as reflectors, like, they want to feel that certainty. They want to have a consistent flow of like their personality or their traits or things like that. But since they're
It
open in
never
all of
happened.
those sensors, it's constantly creating new channels in them every day because of what's transiting through the moon.
They can
They
never have that consistency. Or the
Yeah.
consistency they can have is the consistency of the lunar cycle itself. And that's an amazing consistency once they surrender to it.
That's the reflector.
Yep. Yep.
So, but it would be kind of fun, actually, right? If you knew like what moon was transiting in the day, you're like, oh, I have the perfected form today for 5 hours. Like,
Yep.
let's see how that expresses for me. Or, oh, I have the channel of struggle today. So maybe I'm going to be really persistent and kind of stubborn. And, so you could almost make it into like a game of like to really play with your experiment to
Right.
see, okay, if this transit in, what comes out in me. And
That's exactly right, Savannah. Were you going to say something, Jen?
Yeah, I was going to say tapping into the universe inside of you.
Totally. It's tapping into the universe. Can you pull up the picture that has the that I hand wrote?
Yeah.
So now you've seen we go around the gate counterclockwise and we keep finding the gate that's next on the other side of one of our hanging gates. Again, a hanging gate, dormant gate, an unconnected gate, call it what you want, an activation, they're all the same thing. It's one gate that does not have its companion on the other side. So this is what I wrote out, and I had to do this by hand because I've yet to find a program that just does it for me easily. So 3, 4, we did 4. Did we do 42? We did 3 and 24.
I don't think we did 42.
Nope. So, and the next one would be 8. So 42. Yeah, look, 42 is above 52 at the bottom of the root center. So let's go to the wheel. Where was 42? Yeah, you're right. I wish this was bigger. It was 42.
Right here.
Okay. So after 21, 51, yeah, I went straight to 3 and I skipped 42. Oops. So it moves into 42 and then it moved into 3. So my bad. I didn't do 42. That's okay. It gives that person now off of the root center, gate 52 on the bottom has its companion. 53, I mean, has its companion. The it's what's called the harmonic gate on the other side, gate 52. This gives this person a powerful format energy. So they have 2 powerful format energies happening just over the course of a day or so. So they can really start to get
right next.
Yeah, right next to each other. And so they can really start getting used to that for a day or so and then start to realize, oh, I don't have it anymore. And that's part of the experiment, is to recognize there's nothing wrong with you. You're being transited. You're in a program designed to filter awareness and consciousness. You're here developing your cognition in all of this. We're not here to get stronger and build abs and run races, but although we love doing that, we're here building our awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So
like they say, like, there is no control.
right.
Like we think we're in control of like our emotions or what we're able to do, but it's like, no, it's like we're influenced by the transits, and really all we can do is become the passenger, right? And become aware of like, oh, this transit's going through. What is this? What's coming out? What's expressing for me right now? That's
exactly right. And so this channel, if it's in your child, for instance, and this channel shows up, you can watch your child suddenly be like a rabid animal to start something. They're going to start it. I'm going to start it. This is the channel of maturation. And 52 is like a dog that can't be chained up, can't chain it up. 52 is this expressive love to start things and to love to be in your own body while you're experiencing the starting of something. And it's generative. It connects to the sacral. So now 42 sustains and says, you know what? We're going to take this from the beginning through the middle to the end. And mom's calling, it's time to come in for dinner. Kid's not coming in. It's time to come in. It's getting dark. Kid's not coming in. It's time to come in. You're getting cold. Your fingers getting frostbite. Maybe the kid will finally come in when its life is in danger. Short of that, it's hard for it to stop. Yeah. Once it started, if it started digging a hole, it's going to dig to China. You know, whatever it is, the kid will start something and not want to stop it, will want to, quote, mature it, see it through with a powerful, sustaining life force coming off of the sacral.
My son did that one time on a beach, and that hole was deep.
It was deep.
Oh, yeah. It was me standing in it, and I'm 5'3". It was way over my head. He was at it all day long.
Oh, Jennifer, if you had a time, if you had some kind of journal and you knew what day that was,
yeah, I know.
you can find it. Let's find it and go back and see what was going on with Donovan while he was digging the hole.
I could probably pull up the day. It had happened when we were in Mexico.
So just, you might be able to suss out that date, and that would just be the most interesting thing to do. Just, I love.
Yeah, I mean, well, he literally was on it all day long. They couldn't get him away from it. It was like he was obsessed with it. So I had to pull him out of it at night. And I was like, look, someone's going to walk on the beach and fall in this big massive, because it was a big massive hole.
Right.
It wasn't a small one.
Let's move on to the next one. So I think gate number 8 was next. Let's pull up the wheel. So after 24, there was 2. And then
42, 3, 27, 24, 2, 32, 8.
32 is the next one in line.
Well, 8's right here. 23. I'm sorry. I was
23. That's And so 8, and then 20, and then 16. And what's that one right after 16? Is that 35? This person has all of these gates, as I recall, a bit open on the other side. So go back to his chart. So 8, there's gate 1 off the top of his G center, the creative expression of the individual that must be unique. And suddenly when gate 8 is there, this kid's got a voice and he's contributing, or this person has a voice that now says, I know I can contribute. I can contribute this. And they're a manifesting generator. That's a little bit shocking, with plenty of stuff to say and a lot of power. So they can contribute the great insight that just came pouring out of them. They can contribute what they know they have. That ego of theirs can contribute something shocking to help move things along. Maybe the kid's going to contribute getting in trouble, because he finally can pour that unique expression out and contribute it. It's all about this need to contribute to empower the other. So suddenly the person is doing something that's empowering for others, and they don't know why they're doing it. But they're happy doing it, unless they're not self and they're under all this mental pressure. Because look, gate 61, the 24 at the other end of gate 61 left. This person no longer has a consistent head pressure. Now they have the not self of that head pressure, which is there all the time, making them think about too many things. Suddenly they want to contribute, but they think they shouldn't because they're thinking about too many other things that don't matter. And then later they're totally bummed that they didn't contribute the thing that they wanted, whatever it was. I mean, how many things can one contribute? Infinity. So then the next gate was gate 20. Gate 20 came in line. So suddenly gate 20 does 2 things. It gives them a 3420. So now suddenly they're busy. Gate 20 is like, I'm busy now. Notice a lot of this stuff makes this person busy, like just busy with sacral energy. So around this time of the month, each month, this person has all kinds of sacral hookups. They had 2 format channels. Now they got 2, they've got a manifesting generator channel, 3420. And then they've got 5720, which is going to shows up at the same time. So this person has penetrating awareness of what they want to put their power into right now. I'm busy right now. And anything can come along, shiny little object, and suddenly that kid's awareness is going to go towards that right now. When now? How come right now? Because it's right now. Because 34 must release its power right now. 57 has an intuitive hit right now. Notice 57 is in the sky, in the sun. So we posted that transit for 57 for the next few days. Penetrating awareness to know what can someone do in the now and what's going to be good for them or not. So this kid now is taken off as a busy manifesting generator who's deaf, completely deaf to his parents. If it's your partner, they're deaf to what you're saying. If they're on a mission, they're totally on a mission times 10. And again, if this is a kid, look out, because this kid's going to get into certain things they wouldn't normally because of this now transit for 2 days. Because, well, actually half of a day. It stays in 20 for a good 10 hours.
Yeah, it'd probably be a good exercise to look at both, like your spouse and your charts, and then what moon is going through that day, to know what channels it will activate for them in that day, to be like, oh, okay, like they might be like this, or they have this channel, so this might come up for them, or something like that.
No,
I have 57.
Yep, you have gate 57.
Conscious and unconscious.
So pretty soon it's going into 20, and you're gonna have this channel of the brain wave, this channel that takes and penetrates the now beyond what the now is we can normally understand. This is our intuition to suddenly know the future. This is our intuition that suddenly says, oh, don't turn left, turn right. And you find out later on the news, had you turned left, it was a big problem. Something, oh my God, glad I didn't go there. Or like Savannah, you knew you were going to get a ticket one day. You knew it. You woke up and
I
knew it.
Yeah. But also like if you have an undefined emotional center, but you have a hanging gate on it, and if the moon transit the gate on the other side, it can light you up and make you have this emotional wave, even though you're not really like supposed to be defined emotionally. You could have an emotional wave within those few, hours.
And let's change the if and the can to when the moon transits that gate, it will create a life force. And you will feel it, whether there's something going on with it or not. It's hard to say.
Yeah, so I'm just saying it could help explain why for like 9 hours you're just feeling really emotional, or you're able to process emotions
from before
better. Yeah, because you'd have more maybe emotional clarity if that moon was lighting up a channel to your emotional solar plexus. So yeah, that's just another example that I thought of.
Shazam! No, and Shazam! This person is now emotional. Period. Next gate was gate number 16, and again, it's right in a row. So all these gates are in the quarter of civilization. The first couple ones we did were in initiation. That's an initiating power that wants to start. It basically wants to wake up. And then after it's awake and gone through all of that, once we're in the quarter of civilization, these are all things about building a civilization, literally. Humanity's civilization. We've been real good at it, by the way.
No.
So
because we need to wake up.
16 also is, so these two gates right in a row bridge this person's split. They're the only two gates that bridge this person's split definition. Gate 20, actually gate 10 does it too, but gate 20 and gate 16 bridge this split. So suddenly for this whole day right in a row, this person feels talented and they feel busy in the now. They have a voice that can speak. They don't have to wait for their generative power to give them permission. It's always there, and they feel whole. This whole day, each month, if you're a mother or father of this child, watch this kid and watch how they're a little bit bummed the next day when they wake up without it, and explain it to them. You're not missing anything. You're living in a program.
Yeah. They'd be able to process information quickly, right? Because they'd essentially be single definition instead of split.
Single definition in that moment, in that whole day, all day long that day, whenever that starts and whenever that ends.
So they'd be more independent. They'd be able to process information better, feel whole and complete as if they're single definition as opposed to a split.
Absolutely. Yep. And then, so the next gate line was 35. As again, we're going around the wheel counterclockwise because the moon moves steadily through the wheel. It's wicked reliable. So 35, look what that does. That's your favorite, Savannah. That's coming up for you.
It is coming up for me. Yeah, the transitory channel.
Yep. Channel of transitoriness. This is an emotional, wildly emotional, experiential. This person's going to want to go out and try this and try that, and they're not going to necessarily know why they want to try this and try that.
You won't feel satiated and feel driven to have new experiences.
Yep, absolutely. And they're going to be emotional. So if the day is going good, they're on an emotional high and they're intoxicating to others. And if the day isn't going so good, or they think they're supposed to be something that they're not, and they're not, self pressures get involved, suddenly they go down on a wave and they wonder why they're feeling so blue and so down, because it feels like a crash. I've just crashed. These ideas suck. Just the other day, I was contributing everything right in the now, and I was super talented and enthusiastic, and now I don't feel like doing anything, and I suck.
Yeah.
This is very popular self-talk, by the way, and it's everyone on the planet is prone to that self-talk. Welcome to your travel through the program. Every month, every year, every couple of years, and the outer plans, it's every 100 or so years. So.
Well, I think this is really good, because like people could think like, oh, something's wrong with me, like oh, I'm down again today, like oh, something's wrong, or I'm bipolar or something, or like oh, I need antidepressants, right? But through understanding this, it's like, oh, it's just gate 35. I'm normally undefined emotionally, but now I am. So I might feel kind of hopeless, like my cup is half empty, and just feel really pessimistic and down for a little bit, but this would explain why that is, because the neutrino field is going through us.
Yep.
Yeah. And so this essentially, that's what human design is. It explains the Maya. It explains how our design is experiencing, all these shifting gates and themes, and so once you can kind of step back and be like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. Nothing's wrong with me. Like it's this energy pouring through me that's making me experience this.
And they have a wild voice. They might start singing. They might have plenty of stuff to say. It's because it's a manifesting channel once this channel is complete. So when that moon exit, can you go to the list, Jen? When that moon goes into gate 35, it's 10:13. So that's right around the corner at 11:13 p.m. So for you, that's 2 hours earlier, Savannah. So for you, when it's your 9:13 p.m., you will go into that and you'll feel it. And then for you, it would be for you to find out what lines are in all of your gate 36s. You probably have more than one, knowing you, right?
I only have it once. I'm 36.3.
Oh, that's right, because that's part of your incarnation cross. So 36.3. So now look at the bottom where I says resonance and harmony. So the 3 resonates with the 6, the 1 with the 4, the 2 with the 5, the 3 with the 6. So as it goes into that third line of that gate, it'll really come online for you. The moment it hits gates, it's like ringing the doorbell. It's like dong, it's the first hit. But the moment it goes into a line, it's like entering into the house.
Too bad it's at like 11:13. Well, it'll be 9 something for Savannah.
Yep.
I've had energy flow through me in the middle, like late at night, and I'm like, why now?
Why now? Right.
Why couldn't I have this in the morning or something?
It's a powerful moment.
And then, so when you're saying the moon goes to 36.3, I'll feel it. And then when it goes to 36.6, I'll feel it again.
You'll feel it again differently than when it's in the other lines of the gate. So when it hits the gate, you'll feel it because that's a life force, it's a life force. But when it moves into the resonance or the harmony of that line, the same number, the line 3, that's called the resonance to that line. It's a direct resonance. I mean, that's sort of obvious. And the 6th line is a harmony to that line. You'll feel them both. And it'll be interesting to see what goes on inside of you. Here it is. Here's your gate. It's there.
Yeah. Well, doesn't the 35-36 transitory, isn't it like it has a sexual component to it, like wanting new sexual experiences, right? So it could explain why someone's like,
oh, hang on. Hang on. I'm texting my boy. Who might that be, Savannah?
That was totally random. But I just thought, because the 35-36, isn't that what happens for them?
Very much so. Because think about what an extremely large portion of the human experiential way is about our sexuality. We're doing it everywhere, and when we're teenagers, we can't stop. You know what I mean? It's right. Everyone's after that stuff.
But it's like if you grew up in an environment where there's like purity culture and you're made to feel bad about that, wanting, it could explain.
Then you suffer.
Yeah.
Then you suffer, period. You suffer and your parents aren't aware. and they, want to beat you for touching yourself or figuring out that you got parts when you're 6, 7, or 8 or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, the plight through life. It's not our choice. We have to live it. And it's really hard. So yeah, on that day, there'll be lots of stuff. And I hope you don't mind. I'm going to text Jake. I'm always
Well, no, but because I know people can like beat themselves up, like, oh, why am I thinking this way? Why am I feeling this way? And it's like, well, this could explain why. Like the 3536 channels activated for you, so you might be thinking this way or wanting these things, or
Yep. Well, then during your emotional awakening, as you've awoken to all of these aspects that keep coming through, do you have these moments of just this despair? Why am I this way? How's that live out for you as our resident emotional person?
Before my awakening, yes. After my awakening, no. Not so much. They'll come up, but again, I'm so observing the universe inside of me that, y'all said that, we can't control our emotions. I beg to differ on that.
Because I saw you begging to differ, by the way.
E + R = O. The reason that we have like reactions is because of our emotions, and because those emotions are boiling up is because we've never analyzed why we're having them in the first place. So that's why I feel shadow work is important in integrating your inner child, because a lot of those emotions are the programming that happened when we were children, is why we keep having them. So for me, when I know that if something like that comes in, because I will have it from time to time, I don't attach myself to it. I mean, like I've done something and I'm like, oh, that could have been perfect.
You can't stop it, can you?
No, I can't. I can't stop it.
That's the helplessness I refer to.
But I will say this, just like you always say, when you bring awareness to it, it kills it.
It kills it.
I will literally tell myself, shut up. I'm not listening to you. Be quiet. That's not true. And the more that I do that, especially because I am the 5/1, I am, I have OCD and I like to be a perfectionist, and it can be a little too much, because if it's not perfect, somebody can critique it. I have to get out of my mind on that. But the more I tell myself that I'm not that, it's not as strong as it was before.
Yeah, the whole seeing it kills it thing. And that's what we're after. And it's true. But the helplessness is it's there in the first place.
Well, yes, it's going to pop up in the first place. But what my point is that it limits it the more you bring the awareness to it.
That's what we're doing here. Absolutely.
Yes, when you bring the awareness to it and you don't associate yourself with those thoughts, or what if you're emotional and it triggers an emotional wave and you don't associate it with, it's going to limit that reoccurring thought. Because normally if we think we're not good at something, sometime in our life, someone told us that a long time ago, and that has been a constant, we're not good enough thought coming up that is reoccurring, because the subconscious is going to bring it to you anyways, because the conscious doesn't know what you're entertaining. All it knows is that you have an emotional reaction to that thought. So it's going to give you more of that thought.
All of that stuff to work through it and do what the solar plex does. The next couple gates in a row, 33, 29, 32. So if we go back to their chart,
and just now chart,
it's and you can see it. That was every couple of days. These things keep changing, so that's quite active throughout the month. I didn't even get through a whole month on that piece of paper. And again, what we were just talking about, if you have that emotional solar plex defined in your body graph, if it's colored in, you have emotional definition. You are subject to the emotional wave and everything Jennifer was just referring to and that we were talking about. So 33 was next. Well, look, they have a gate 13 off of the G center, and it's conscious. So that off the top of the G center is gate 13, and so when 33 comes in off the bottom of the throat center right there. So when 33 comes in, boom, life force, the prodigal. This person now has stories to tell. They're putting together the past. They're collecting the experiential knowledge, all the stuff everyone ever told them, because they have a gate 13 and people are always telling them stuff. Now suddenly they're able to put it into a storybook. Somebody asks them something and tells them something on a day when the moon is transiting this. In that moment, suddenly this person can contribute their story back as to what may or may not be going on with all of that, depending on their life experience. This is the design of bringing your life experience out into the world. And because gate 33 is the voice that says, I remember, I can contribute my remembrance. I have a manifestation of remembrance. And 13 says, I got the juice of what you just remembered. I've been collecting it. It's going to help provide the direction. It's part of the Sphinx. We will put you in a direction with what you remember. From the past, you have remembered something that will help drive humanity in a direction. Let me tell the story. Let me be the prodigal that went out and got the experience and came back. So, and told the story. So this person might be liable to run their mouth at that moment when they wouldn't have before. Hard to say what they will do, but it's a voice that says, I remember. And then the next one after that, I think, was 32, wasn't it? It was 29, then 32. Oh God, I'm gonna memorize this wheel right in order finally. So 29, off the bottom of their identity. So a lot of stuff now is moving around with their identity. So off the bottom of their identity center, gate 46 is coming off of that yellow G center. And look, there's no gate 29. This would be another way to bridge that split. Actually, there's several ways to bridge this split. Suddenly this person's a single definition again. And what's happening? 29 is sticking them into saying yes. So now suddenly 29 makes me say yes. And if you're a manifester or a projector or a reflector with this gate 46 and 29 comes into the sky, now you're a generator. Oh, you're a generator. And you're a generator with the channel of discovery that anyone can ask something of, and you're liable to say yes. This is the gate of saying yes. And we can think that sounds sort of fortune cookie-ish, but it is not. It's called perseverance. The deep within the deep, this deep energy to persevere at something, even to the point where you worked your fingers to the bone. Gate 29 can commit you to something you didn't necessarily want to do, and now you're stuck with it, saying yes. So saying yes is the symptom of this deep sacral energy to persevere. The gate of, perseverance. So, and the perseverance is pushing up into the love of the body. I would like my body to persevere through this experience so that the prodigal that was just before it can come and tell the story. So these two are in reverse order. So the prodigal that wants to tell a story isn't necessarily sure what it wants to tell the story. And the next day it's having the experience of what it wants to tell the story about, but it's too late. 33 is already gone. That can be confusing.
Yeah. So Jen, you're smiling. Are people writing stuff in the comments? I'm curious to see what people are saying or asking.
I do have a couple questions. Is how do you find what lines? And we're going to go over that, right? You're going to give.
Yeah, let's get out of this body graph and stop going through the gates. Everyone has seen what we've done. We go to the wheel.
I was smiling because I noticed this in myself. It's just like when I'm in the creative way, or recently I'm having all these downloads and they happen at night. And I do get a little bit aggravated because I've realized over time that if I don't get up and do a voice clip or write it down the next morning, it's gone.
It's gone.
The energy's not there. And so then I'm like backpedaling, trying to remember, and it gets frustrating. So I can understand what an individual feels like and why it's important that we do go over this, because not only does it affect the reflector, but going with my investigating of the 28-day cycle, this kind of makes complete sense because you're literally going through everything and it's like we start all over. And we do that, 13 times a year?
13 times a year, on or about. And every 28 days or on or about, it's ripping through the cycle. I noticed that the moon seems to orbit in 27 to 28 days, but the actual phases of the moon take 28 to 29 days. So there's a little bit of confusion with that, but it doesn't matter.
So the moon, just so that I'm clear, the moon will go through all of the gates.
All 64.
And that's a full cycle.
That's a trip around the wheel, a full cycle, yes.
And how long was that?
In about 28 days.
28 days. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
About 28 days. And anyone can test this when you go to Jovian Archive. And you can just follow the wheel, the moon around the wheel, and see when does it repeat, go get back to the gate you started with. That's how many days it took the moon to travel around the Earth that cycle. The moon, I believe, has slightly different ellipses, you know, with minutes of difference here and there, depending on which cycle you're in, depending on whether it's this cycle. The next cycle might be 10 minutes longer. The next cycle might be 10 minutes shorter. I'm not exactly sure.
And may I ask, how does the astrology fit in? Because the astrology, whatever sign the moon is in, does play an effect. Would it? So, like this one's in Aries, and it's a very fiery energy. Would it add more fire essence to say
All day
while it's
long.
going through each
All day
grade?
long. All day long, it will add the essence of what gates are in that sign all day long. And we wonder why the ancient astrologers became in tune with the fact that we were being affected by the bodies that orbit us. They had a moon telling them all month long, hey, you got this coming. Hey, you got this coming. Then when it was finally in the sky, one of the planets, they'd be like, oh my God, I recognize this. They had a point A and a point B to juxtapose these two bits of information, and intuitively they spit out astrology. And now we have measurements. We can measure these things and see exactly where they are. We can measure the neutrino stream. We can now measure the person at their birth and their differentiation, what they're imprinted as. They're imprinting. It's unique. So
I'm fascinated. This is something I've been investigating for the past 4 years. And I have previous workshops on how to transform your life through the cycles of the moon, but I was using astrology. This adds a whole nother deeper level to the equation that
absolutely it does. And so before we move to the Jovian Archive and before we move to the questions, I just want to point out, I'm not going to go through every last gate here. We've seen how we're going around the wheel, right? Counterclockwise. It's methodical. Anyone can do this now. You go all the way around the wheel until you've gotten into the gate that is on the other side of all your hanging gates. And if you go back to the body graph.
Yeah, guys, and I'll put links to all the slides that we use in the description so you can print it out and have it for yourself.
So I'm not going to go through the rest of them. The rest of them would be, he's got a gate, this person's got a gate 39. So sooner or later, 55 is going to come in the wheel. Boom, moodiness, spirit. They've got a gate 49 off the solar plex. Sooner or later, it's going to go into 19.
I'm going to have that.
Yep, but it's going to go into 19. When it goes into 19, this person becomes sensitive to the needs of what they do and don't have potentially. And they'll have an emotional sensitivity. When it goes into gate 32 off the spleen, that's on the other side of 54, the mirroring maiden at the bottom, off the root center. Boom, this person's driven. They are driven. They want success. They're driven for success. They're just driven. It's a channel of being driven. They're basically gonna put A and B together and make C because they're driven.
That's what I love about human design versus, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love astrology, but I feel like human design is able to zoom in and get so much more detailed about, because they can do astrology. It's just like, oh, this is the whole month. This is what's going on. But then human design, it's like, well, nope, this goes through this and this moves through this. So it's going to be like this. It's just very zoomed in, detailed.
I found astrology to be super helpful to flesh out more keynotes, more depth, and more awareness. Because those guys from thousands of years ago who did all this stuff, they had an awareness, and we can incorporate that right into our reading.
It depends on the type of astrology that you get into. I mean, when people do say astrology, it's the surface of certain things, but it does get deeper. And through my experience, the reason that I do like human design is because the astrologers had it right. The I Ching guys had it right.
Yep.
The chakra system, all of it. And it's but they were missing a piece to it, to where it was all of these things are coming together to give you this, which is the missing piece. It's bringing it all together.
Remember the missing piece? I keep talking about it because I love it so much. It's the newest magic that I call science.
Yes.
Once we were able to measure.
That's why I love human design, because it's very logical. I remember you call it, it's the mechanics.
Yeah.
You put this in, it's always going to be this. You move it like this, you're going to get this. You know, so it is very like, I know it's human design can come across very like mystical and like woo woo. When you actually learn the will, it's actually very logical.
It's logical. These are the mechanical aspects you can rely on. I can call out any aspect in somebody and they'll be like, oh my God, that is me. And that's because we now have given names to it. Our beautiful science and all of our literature gave us lots of words, lots of measurements, and now we can apply them logically. So let's answer some questions.
We have Nikki Williams. First question is, how do you navigate a moon design gauge 6.15 and personality 2.3? I don't know if that's something you want to have her book a session for.
Read it again because that was a little quick. How do you
navigate a design moon gauge 61.5 and personality 25.3?
Okay, so that 25, the love of all things, and it's the universal love of all things. So that's if that's on your design side, that's a focus for you. That's moving you, your love of all things. But the 61 just wants to solve the mystery. It can feel almost rather impersonal because it's all unique and individual. So sometimes you can't tell that your love of all things is also driving you to figure out the mystery until someone points it out to you or until you start to realize it for yourself. That's just basic keynoting of the question that you had asked. Book a session and I'll go through your whole chart with you and we'll flesh that out. As I always tell people, by the end of the session, I'm speaking in a particular language that is the language of you, particularly.
Yes.
Next.
Banshee 333. She was asking how to find out what lines you have. So we're about to go over that. And she did make a comment about her mom. I'm not going to post it up on the screen, but Banshee, if you are still watching, like Dan just said, definitely book a session with him because, you know, he can help
have your mom's information. Bring your mom's data.
Yeah, and your mom's, because then that can also compare the two of y'all's designs if she's saying that stuff about you, but you can help get to a deeper level of understanding of whatever
You'll find out where she was helpless and where she was taken away from her nature. Because our parents were all taken away from their nature, period. We have the serendipity and the good fortune to come into this knowledge part way into our lives. So the goal is to get this to the kids so they never have to deal with it. They just grow up perfect already. So we're going to pull up a body graph right now. So get your free chart when you get to this site. You see it's right in the center.
I was also going to say about, I was just going to say also, like, talking about our relationships with people, like you could have compromised channels with someone and then it can explain like why that certain thing, you guys always bash heads with each other. Right. So that's, I think, fun to do relationship with and see comparing your charts together.
Absolutely. And that's going to be something. Yeah. Pull up the Just Now chart, Jen.
Okay. Yeah, guys, you're going to go to Jovian Archive to find the link. It's going to be in the comments. You can scroll down to get your free human design or for your free chart. Go ahead and put your information in. Today is the 9th, 10, 2022. We're going to do...
so 3 o'clock. So that's 15.
Yep. 15, 17, USA. What is the state? I'll do.
You don't even need that, by the way. If you just start typing Texas, it'll populate it in the future. And then, yeah, your town, calculate. I'd like to notice the moon has moved. That moon was previously in 21, wasn't it?
I'm going to pull that up.
Well, it was 21.6. And now we're a couple hours later, and it's moved. It's moved to the next one in line. If you pull up the wheel, look, it moved from, sorry to have you go all over the place, but
it's okay. Hold on, let me get the wheel.
So it moved to 51, second line, and look at 21 moves to 51 in the wheel. So it's just moving. Again, it's moving right in order. Do you see that there, Jen? Yep.
Yeah, I'm highlighting it.
So here's the hard part. Go back to the chart, and this is what I had to do to get all of those times. I basically have to keep going forward at about 10 to 12 hours every time I saw the next gate in line. I found it on the wheel. If it were 5 gates ahead, I would be 5 times 10 and I would 50. So it's about 2.5 days. And I would just go ahead 2.5 days. And then I would have to start cutting it back or cutting it forward until I got to the gate, line 1. I did it till I got to the minute. It took me about an hour to get through this whole chart. So it's not if I was going to do it for myself once a month, I would set time aside to do it once a month and see where's my stuff and hopefully somebody can come up with and or knows a quicker way to get to this or knows of a program that gets us there quicker. That would be really gee whiz. In fact, I know the Jovian Archive Advanced Imaging does get us there to what the transits are. The thing is, it just does it by the day. It doesn't get us directly to the minute easily.
I think Tressa had an app. I haven't downloaded it just yet. I am looking for something that you can actually navigate through it, but to change or forward the time, you would have to edit the birth time.
When this chart gets truly sophisticated in its application and the programming behind the scene, we should be able to turn the dial left and right and just have it go through everything, all the gates, all the planets, everything. We should be able to see it change like a tapestry before our eyes with a dial. That would be ideal. But so we already moved into 51.2. So let's say somebody has 25.2 on the other side, and that's all they had. They would be in direct resonance, and suddenly they're an initiating shock monster, and they can't help but to leap. They want to leap. They want to run. They want to jump. They want to try it. You know, if you're a parent to a kid with a 25, once a month, watch out when that 51 shows up because the kid's going to do dangerous stuff. Not definitely, but that's what the warrior does. They have to find out how powerful they are, and they only find out by leaping into the void, into the unknown.
I have that whole channel.
And
what happens if you have the channel? Does it still activate it?
Well, it will be just further activation in it is what it'll be. It'll just be more temptation to be that. But let's say you have a line 3. Let's say you're 25 line 3 and you want to see when do I get directly into resonance? Well, you're in line 2 and we don't know how far into line 2. It's about 2 hours per line. 6 lines per gate, 2 hours per line approximately. So now we have to guess. So what time did we do? 17 after the hour? Go to right on the hour. We did 17. We did 15. So go right to 16:00.
16:00?
Yeah. So we just moved ahead 45 minutes almost. Still in line 2. So good. So now we know it's going to be somewhere in this hour of 16, almost certainly. So go to edit again. This is arduous, guys. It's not the simplest thing. Anybody who can come up with an easy solution for me, please. I'm just a dumb generator. I haven't looked hard enough, so I do it the hard way. Edit the time. Go back to edit. And how I've been doing it is go to the half hour, 30 minutes. Calculate. Nope, it hasn't moved. So now I go ahead by 10-minute increments. Edit again. 40. 50. You see what's happening. Oh, there we move. So it's somewhere between 40 and 50. So back up to 45. Sorry. I wish it were easier.
I'm looking real quick. You have 45?
45. So it'll be on either side of that 45. So somewhere between 40 and 45. Let's not spend the time, unless you want to, Jen. If you want to, you have to go back a minute, and next minute, until you get to where it ends.
No, we'll
No, so somewhere in that 5-minute range. It's probably 45, 46, 47, somewhere right in there. This will now shift into 51 line 3. And for any gate that the moon is in, this is how you toggle back and forth to get to what line of the hexagram it's in. So when it moves, oh, this is me. I have 25. I just remembered I have 25. So this is shocking. I love this. And I have 55 line 2. That's me. So I'm happy.
You have a tracking channel, Dan.
Huh?
You have a shaman channel.
Yeah, I have the whole channel now. So this is great. Now I'm ready to go. I'm going to go drive my car fast when we get off. So, but that's how you do it. So you got to, so just to get it right. So let's say they're a fourth line. Now we've got about where we're at to the minute close. So now we know we can just add 2 hours to this and we will be very close to where it moves into the fourth line. So edit it one more time.
If you, and I just looked, if you go to the geneticmatrix.com, they have the transit charts.
Okay, well, I want to see that, but I've tried that and it didn't give me what I needed. So not the minutes, the hour. You were at 16, so go to 18. And lo and behold, we're in 51.4. Now, if you really want to see the minute it goes into, you just start backing up 5-minute increments and you'll get to where it changes. You'll back up, you'll see it change, and then you'll just know that I have to go forward a minute until you get to the exact minute if you want to see the minute, because the truth is, it is really cool to see the minute. You can sit there in a contemplation and try to just clear your mind and wait for it to transit into the actual line that's resonant to you, a resonance or a harmony. So, and that'll be a thing you can do, and you'll feel these things. It was the very first thing Ra Uru Hu did when the voice left him alone. When it released him and he had all of his information, he said the first thing he did was he charted the moon. He wanted to see for himself, are these things really moving through me? And since the moon is the fastest moving celestial body we have,
Him being a 5-1 and me being a 5-1, that makes complete sense to me.
Complete sense. So
that's why I'm all intrigued with this.
So this is basically all of it. And if you have, do you have a glyph with just the planets?
I do. Hold on. Let me get to that screen.
And basically we're done here after we go through some of this. So here's all the planets in our human design planets, that basically the symbols that go with them, and including the sun and the earth. I noticed there's the nodes and then the moon and then down to Mercury, all the way down to Pluto. So all of these planets are doing what we just demonstrated the moon is doing in a month or in 28 days. All of these planets are doing it in their relative cycle. Mercury is about 265 days to go around the sun or something like that. Or maybe it's 67 days. I forgot. It's a really short one. Venus is quicker. Mars is like 450 days to go around the sun, ergo to go around us. It takes it that long, so over a year. So Mars will move much more slowly. It will be in a gate not for 10 hours. It'll be in a gate for 2 days instead.
And will the Mars energy will affect that gate?
Just like the moon. So all the planets will do it. They will activate this codon inside of our body. The life force will be present. We can't tell the difference because it's one planet over the other. And what it'll do is it'll color it with what the planets do. This is where astrology came in very helpful. So when it goes through challenge, when it goes into Mars, it'll be basically your opportunity for growth, because it's where you're sort of immature. You get to find out a little of this and a little of that. And it's where you're growing up. And you'll find out where you want to go to war. It'll find out where you might be a little bit too aggressive. You might find out where you're too passive. I'm not sure. You can tell me as it goes through Mars. When it goes into the moon, you'll see you're driven. You're driven for that. So I'm driven to do something shocking, apparently, in about a couple hours, because I just realized my 25 is in line 4. But by the way, I didn't even realize I don't normally have the energy to do all this stuff. I just wing it on the show, right? For some reason, the whole hour and a half before the show, when it was in the first line, harmony to my 25.4, I was suddenly busy, driven to get all the stuff so that everyone could have that whole written thing. It took me an hour and a half to get that whole thing written out on one stupid piece of paper. It was like an hour.
But find something easier for that, because this is
really, yeah.
This is helpful for what I do with my clients.
Yep, it's wicked helpful. I can't do this for every client. I would ask them to do it for themselves, because I would just be sitting there for too long.
Yes. We should come up with like a worksheet. We'll talk behind after we pop off about, just like a generic worksheet of a template that people can get into the habit of what to write down. And
Absolutely. Well, I noticed while that moon was in the first line of gate 51, I was shockingly penetrating my awareness into that piece of paper quickly, fast, initiatingly, and I was leaping into it. Whether I would finish it or not before the show didn't matter. I started. I leapt into the void of, will I finish this before I have to go on air? And I got it to you in the nick of time.
mm-hmm.
Good warrior. Good generator. So, and again, now I was helpless to all of that. I didn't even think, here I am doing the moon myself. I see it's in gate 21. I'm looking at the wheel myself, and I just didn't think to be like, oh, it's going into 51 in a little bit, Dan. But I was helpless to be carried away by the shocking energy that wanted to do that.
Yeah.
It's just sort of funny. And when it goes into line 4, I'll be at the farm. So
Very, very excellent.
this is our walk around the wheel, guys. Maybe we can go full screen.
Absolutely. I was just about to do that.
I don't know what else we need to really cover. I think we've educated people on how to witness the transits. We did it with the moon because the moon moves the quickest, and it is our drive. But all the other planets are doing the exact same thing. Go to the Jovian archive, see where your planets are, and when they're going to next be in gates on the other side. The harmonic gates on the other side of your hanging gates. Creating the life force, and boom, live it out. Have fun. Don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Bring a Band-Aid.
Excellent. We don't have any more comments. So thank you for everybody who did tune in today and left messages and comments. Again, if you haven't already, make sure to book your session book your session with Dan. And let us know. Banshee, I did reply to your comment. Please send us a private message about that. We'll go ahead and talk to you. So definitely do that. Don't forget that there's other links in the comments of the different things that we have going on. Just to quick recap, we're doing the New Earth, Build a New Earth, How to Balance the Divine Within masterclass, or it's a retreat that's coming up at the end of this month through the 24th through the 28th. It's about an hour video workshop every day, so it's not all the time. We have workshops that are going to be going on inside of the Vortex, and me and Dan are doing the Learn How to Mindfully Eat According to Your Human Design coming up next month. So make sure you guys sign up for that, and yeah, hope y'all have a beautiful Sunday.
This was awesome. I loved it.
Enjoy witnessing the transit for yourselves. And please let us know if you have any questions.
Yep. Thanks, Savannah.
Thank you, Savannah. See you later.
See you guys later.
Bye, guys.